So Leeds United may have just completed the signing of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which is a pretty big deal. He's a reasonable bargain on a free and, let's be honest, could push the club very much in the right direction. However, it looks like our striker business isn't quite done for the summer because Leeds United have been linked with another very, very promising striker currently in the Bundesliga that I think could make a massive difference to any team he played in, never mind Leeds United. So I'm going to dive through what the rumour is, who the player is, what the chance of getting the move done actually looks like, and ultimately where Leeds are likely to end up at the end of all of this. But before I do so, please pop a like on the video and subscribe. Thank you very much. Now, into the video. So, enough of the faffing. Let's get into what the actual bit of the story is. So, the news mainly comes from the source Kicker, who are reasonably reliable on a fairly consistent basis. And they state that Leeds United, that was a fun hiccup, are showing interest in Ermedin Demirovic, a 27-year-old international from Bosnia, currently playing at Stuttgart, and his statistics are genuinely very good. I'll get into that in a couple of minutes' time, but we need to discuss why exactly a move is looking likely. He moved there from Augsburg like a year ago, and then had a season settling in at Stuttgart, but there is a little bit of a risk that he might want to be on the move this summer because he currently is reportedly feeling a little bit unhappy with his position in the squad. Stuttgart currently have Voltemade playing there and Dennis Undav, which means that he's effectively getting part-time minutes. He's not playing constantly, which isn't a good position to be in. He's 27 years old, scoring very, very, very consistently, and to find himself like dropped time and time again isn't going to be good for the confidence, isn't going to be good for his career progression, and ultimately isn't going to be good for the way that he's feeling about himself. So there is potential for him to be on the move. Now, the rumoured fee that a club would have to pay for Demirovic is relatively high. Stuttgart paid about 20 million euros last year, and the rumoured sum is in the sort of 35 to 40 million euro region, which I will be honest is a hell of a lot of money, but it's less than Rodrigo Muniz, and I think this guy is significantly more proven than Rodrigo Muniz for a good few reasons. So, first up, I'm just having a straight up look at his statistics over the past two seasons right now, and the guy has scored 30 goals in the last two seasons with 10 assists. That was in 50-ish 90s, which means that over that period of time, every 90 minutes the guy would play, he'd get 0.8 goals or assists, mainly goals. The guy is a goal scorer. He is lethal. Had an XG of 13.5 and then 14.1, which means that he overperformed in both seasons, which sort of shows you that this guy is incredible at putting away chances, which I'll be honest, I'm not going to be too mad about. This guy knows what he is doing. There are slight concerns with the fact that he tends to move around from clubs quite a lot. So in 2016-17, a little bit less than a decade ago, he was playing at RB Leipzig. In the year since, he's played for Leipzig, which we know about, Alaves, Almeria, Sochaux, St. Gallen, Freiburg, Augsburg, Stuttgart, which is a lot of clubs to play for. He's not one that is sort of typically happy to sort of sit somewhere and just wait and run through his career whilst he's there, which is admittedly a little bit of a risk for a club that has just come up to the Premier League and won't necessarily want to lose its star players in the event that we go back down again. But looking at the level of talent that this guy has, I think it's a very, very, very good move for us. I think looking at the way that the guy plays, looking at the way that he sort of in dangerous areas will make sure that he is positioning himself absolutely perfectly using his fairly significant body weight. The guy is roughly the same height as me and another 13 kilograms on me. Like, he's a big, bulky guy. And he uses that very, very effectively, but he's simultaneously quite nimble in his movement and he knows what he's doing. Looking specifically at the numbers, he's in the top 10% of goals scored per 90, top 11% of XG, so he's outperforming on that front. Top 17% for shots taken in total. The guy's fantastic, and he won't help you too much in the build-up play. That is potentially a little bit of an issue because at the moment we've got Piru, who drops in, is happy to take part in the build-up, and then get on the end of chances if he can. Demirovic doesn't necessarily do that, but he is a strong addition to add to the side, which, if we're able to get this one done, would be a fantastic move. If our frontline options are Piru, Mecha, Calvert-Lewin, Demirovic, That would be ridiculous. That would be the sort of set of striker options that you would expect for a club playing in European football, not just promoted into the Premier League, which is a good spot for us to be in. But there is a further conversation to have, a further question to ask, and that is just how essential is it that Leeds United do sign another striker? Because look at last season and look at the fact that we had effectively three forwards. Harry Gray, sort of, but he wasn't really considered a part of the senior squad at that point. We had Joe Piroux, who didn't start the season out, but that's fine. We had Mateo Joseph, who did start the season out, but got dropped to the bench, and we had Patrick Bamford. Of those, our third choice striker is now leaving because he's not needed, and our second choice striker is leaving because he wants more game time. To me, that is very telling of the fact that we're not necessarily going to be giving minutes to someone that is the fourth choice in the pecking order, which means that at that point, either Mecha or Piroux, because let's be honest, Calvert-Lewin isn't coming here to be choice number 4 on the list, isn't strictly going to get as many minutes as they need. And that's sort of going to lead to a little bit of discontent within the squad, and it's going to cause problems. So unless we're playing like a 4-4-2 or something along those lines for some reason, despite having not practiced in it at all, this feels like it's potentially an excessive move that adds a little bit of difficulty to the team selections and could ultimately harm the squad harmony, which isn't what you want to do when you've just gotten promoted, because we've got a squad that is genuinely positive and heading in the right direction. And I really don't want us to mess that up, I'll be honest with you. Demirovic will be a very, very good signing, don't get me wrong. If we do get him, that would be firmly in that marquee territory. But I think the most important position right now is those wide areas. Make sure that the wingers are able to be very effective, score the goals that you need them to, create the chances that you need them to, because they can also improve the output of Calvert-Lewin, of Piroux, of Mecha, all of those. Improve those areas, make sure we get that backup fullback, which is looking like it's going to be James Justin. If that one gets across the line, we're in a very, very good spot. But most importantly, we got to make sure we're making the right decisions at this stage. And I think we will. And I'm very much looking forward to how we look at the end of the window, because I think it's going to be a very healthy, positive, good side. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please pop a like on it. That's massively appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't yet, or become a channel member. You get videos like this one early. It's $2.99 a month. Be absolutely wonderful. Anyway, I'm going to go and play a game of Peak now, which is about climbing a mountain. So that's going to be fun. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you later. Toodaloo.